Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing on today? Welcome to the cafe. Mama Tony, Jacquelin Thomas. I don't know if you guys realize it, but this is the first literary tea of 2023. And guys, we have none other than Jacquelin Thomas hanging out with us. I don't know about you guys, but I'm fangirling. I'm trying to keep it together. And not only do I get to hang out with Jacquelin Thomas, but I also get to hang out with Mama Tony on today. And guys, we're going to be talking about Jacquelin's latest release, his partnership proposal on today. You guys already know what to do. Like, tag, and share. Tell a friend to come on down to the cafe because we're getting ready to spill a little bit of tea for tea time when we hang out with Jacquelin for his partnership proposal. So, of course, you guys know how we get started here for tea time. We're going to introduce yourselves, tell you what we're wearing today and what we're drinking, and then we're going to get into spilling to some tea for his partnership proposal. First, I want to say Happy New Year to everybody, and I'm going to turn it over to Mama Tony of Mama Tony's Book Nook to introduce herself to the people on today. Mama Tony, I'm excited because I get to hang out with you and Jacquelin Thomas today.
Lucky you. Hi, everybody. I'm Mama Tony of Mama Tony's Book Nook, and I choose a book from all my plethora of books, Monday through Friday, read a snippet, and it's to help you get into a book, maybe one you haven't read, or to complete a series or something like that. Today, I'm a tea drinker, but I like iced tea and hot tea. So today I am actually drinking iced tea, vanilla caramel latte iced tea in my Just a Girl Who Loves Her Book mugs. And I'm wearing one of my Mama Tony Book Nook shirts that was designed for me by one of my former students.
Nice.
The hat that goes with the book that we're discussing today, his partnership proposal. But of course, I got this crazy hairdo, so the hat will not stay on. It keep bouncing because I got this updo hair. So I'm going to take the hat off. But that's the reason for the hat. And that's what I am and who I am today.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Mama Tony, for hanging out with us. They are sharing love. We got Mrs. J.B. Williams in the house hanging out with us. We have Shantae hanging out with us on today. Hello, Corey Ann. Thank you for hanging out with us on today as well. We have Veronica Lockett hanging out with us on today as well. Jennifer Copeland of Jenny's Cozy's Books hanging out with us on today. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us on today. And of course, guys, this next individual, this author is just so special to me. For her to take a time out to come and hang out with us on today, I'm just overjoyed. But I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, guys. We have the honorable, legendary Jacquelin Thomas. Jacquelin, introduce yourself to the people today.
Okay, hi, I'm Jacquelin Thomas, and I write books. I mean, usually, like what else do you say? I love to read, but I love writing, as you all know, and I'm just excited to be here.
I love that. I love that. And Jacquelin, definitely share off your t-shirt with us today. Tell us about that signature shirt you have on.
Oh, it's just my logo. I don't know if you guys can see it, but Jacquelin Thomas.
Nice.
This is my logo, and now my bottoms you can't see because I'm wearing pajama bottoms. I'm on deadline, y'all. I'm on deadline. So so it's pajamas and a t-shirt for me.
Okay, hey,
well,
look.
I'm
so Jackie, so from the waist up, we had a tea party, okay?
Yes.
I love that. I love that. And of course, guys, I am Angela Anderson of Angela's Literary Cafe, and I am rocking my I am a book nerd. A t-shirt is what I'm rocking today. I am drinking out of my Angela Anderson Presents mug. And of course, you guys already know I'm drinking hot lemon tea on today. And I know we'll be spilling a little bit of hot tea as well as we get into his partnership proposal.
Now, and I have ginger. I have a ginger tea, ginger and lemon.
Oh, nice. Ginger tea is what Jacquelin is drinking on today. So guys, I'm sure you guys are ready to get into it and for us to spill a little bit of tea. You guys know how we do it here at the cafe. If you have a question or if you have something that you want us to talk about, put it into the comment section. We'll be sure to include you guys as well. And so, Jacquelin, before we get started, for those who may be new to this series, guys, this is a part of the Polk Island series. I just want Jacquelin to share a little bit with us about Polk Island, because if you're like myself and Mama Tony, I mean, Polk Island is real, okay? We going over to Polk Island, okay? But Jacquelin,
girl, I've been to Polk Island. I don't know what you're talking about.
I love it. I love it. Can you share with us what inspired this amazing series?
Well, Polk Island is actually based off an island where I grew up, St. Simon's Island. Mama Tony is familiar with St. Simon's Island. And the one thing I wanted to do, I wanted to create a island, and the history is this. And when I go to Charleston, I always look across the bridge to see if I can see it, because it's real to me too. But Polk Island it's a fictional island, and it was founded by Polk and Haas Rothschild, and that's their names, Polk and Haas. And they were two men who were taking their families from Darien, Georgia, up to New York. So they were going up north. And around this time, Polk's wife got sick and she died. And so he couldn't bear to leave her body. He buried her on this patch of land. He couldn't bear to leave her there by herself. So they basically decided as a family to stay there and settle on that land, which became Polk Island. And anybody that knows anything about Georgia and the coastal islands, some call them the Gullah Islands, but there's a lot of islands there. There's St. Simon's, there's Sapelo, there's Blythe, there's Cumberland, there's there's a lot of them. And some of them, if I'm right, Mama Tony, they don't have names, right? They're uninhabited. And so
yes,
it could happen. You go over there and settle on this patch of land, and so anyway, what I wanted to do was create a township by African Americans that wasn't tainted by racism. Because when you look in our history, we've had a lot of towns founded by us, and Rosewood, the tragedy, Allensworth, the tragedy. A lot of these towns no longer exist. For example, Allensworth, a thriving community in California, and they poisoned the water system.
Wow.
So the people had to leave, because they wanted to bring the trains through. So I just wanted an island founded by people like us that wasn't tainted by racism.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could come and take their island. So that's Polk Island.
Well, I love it. And you have made an amazing island that we have fell in love with. Guys, if you're new to the Polk Island series, this is actually book 4. But Jacquelin, first she brought us a family for the firefighter. And then there's her hometown hero and her marine hero. And now we have his partnership proposal. And Jackie and Mama Tony, I'll let you weigh in on this. Jackie, you brought back some of our favorite characters. If y'all know about them Du Grand Prix, oh my goodness. And there's even episodes where, you brought some of the family members of Du Grand Prix. Guys, if you haven't read that, okay, go back and read that as well. Yeah. But if you have and you're familiar with them, I love how you blended them in the story
they're actually as well. Family. They're
yes,
family. Yep. They're related. They're related to the Rothschilds. So they actually have roots on Polk Island. They also have their beach house on Polk Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mansion, but it's a beach house. Right. I was gonna say they call it their cottage, but 12 bedrooms, all of that, cottage. But I love family. And the Du Grand Prix of Charleston was my series before this, and I fell in love with them. And the thing about it, my characters stay with me because actually, anybody that's read The Alexanders of Beverly Hills, you do know that somebody is coming, and Alexander is coming to Polk Island. So
I love it. I love it. See, guys, she's spilling some tea.
Yes, they stay with me. They stay with me. And actually, the book I'm working on now is really a lot of fun. It is the 5th Polk Island book, and it is Twins for the Holidays.
I love that. I I love it. And Mama
Because
Tony,
we are
I'm going to
Christmas
give you
story.
an opportunity to jump in here and share with us. I know, I know you've read many of Jacqueline's books too, but were you excited as well to see the Du Grand Prix infused in this particular book as well? What was your joy about that?
I was excited, but then I was like, which one? Okay, who do I really want to see? Uh, okay, well, then I started wondering who was coming and who was going to be the next Grand Prix that I was going to see. Then I pulled my books off the shelf from that series, and I was like, that's not going to work because you be trying to put all these people in Polk Island, and they can't all come to Polk Island. So put it back and just wait to see who's going to come to Polk Island. That one was, but
Yes.
yeah, I
And
was curious about who was coming, and then whoever's coming, why they're coming. What's the connection going to be to coming to Polk Island?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be a marriage? Is it going to be to settle a squabble? Are they going to move there? Or is it, do they need a lawyer? Because there's so many things that she's laughing at me. So yes, I've been reading the books, but there were so many things that could happen when you bring them in to make the connection, aside from being family.
right.
Because I was shocked
Yes.
in this book
Yes.
when Margot and Rochelle had gone to high school together. I'm like, okay, that's deep.
Right. Yeah, they were good friends.
They were good friends. They had been good friends. And then, we know what happened to their children who then he had no idea that their parents had any connection at all.
Right, right.
They were clueless that their parents had any connection at all.
Right, because remember when she told him the name, she was like, Margot and Terrence's son?
Yeah.
She was like,
Yeah.
You know them, Mom?
She said, we went to school together. We've been friends for a long time. Like, what?
Yes. And Mama Tony, that was one of the things that I enjoyed about the book. It was the family dynamic, the friendships dynamic, how Jackie, you infused New Orleans with the stuff that was going on in Polk Island and all of that, and you did it so effortlessly as well. There was like no confusion, and you painted the picture, and that leads me to talk about how the book begins. Jackie, let me just tell you guys, if you haven't read the book yet, Jackie sucks you in the first chapter. And I fell in love with the meet cute when Philip sees Terry and Tori on the beach. It's like, yeah, it was like, it's right there. And it's like, and then when Tori walked up, she was like, beach house. She was like, mansion. And I already knew. I was like, oh Lord. I was like, Aubrey ain't gonna be too happy to see. And at this time, guys, he's a joker, because I was just like, Aubrey ain't gonna be one to see this joker. Not like this. So yeah. But Mama Tony, what was your thoughts?
But you gotta give Aubrey credit. Even though she didn't want to see him, she was pissed. She remained professional.
Yes, she did.
She never stepped out of, she stayed right there. I don't like this SOB. I don't want him here. Why is he at my family house? But she never crossed the line. She talked with an attitude so he could hear. He probably gritted her teeth. And I can imagine the neck was rolling, especially when she was asking him, what you doing here? And why you? But never. And then when she got to the point
when she was walking towards him, that I could see fire in her eye. I mean, everybody else, but I could see like he saw them daggers, like this ain't gonna be good.
He didn't know whether to run or find a hole to get in.
But you know what? He knew her character, and he said, you know what?
Yes.
She ain't gonna show out. He was like, she gonna want to. He was like, but she is not gonna show out. And for me, I even felt like, Jackie, the way that you wrote it, those closest to her, they knew that there was a little tension there. They knew, because they was like,
because I think didn't her brother or somebody ask her, was everything okay?
Right. Yeah. And even Philip kind of picked up on a little bit like, and of course his twin Tori did too. Jackie, you want to add anything to that when they first met?
It's so easy for us to want to get out of character And for some of us, showing out is character. That is our character, you know. But for some of us that really, you know, want to, you know, it was a professional event. It was a party,
Yeah.
and so, you know, when I thought about, look how she responds when she goes to New Orleans. You know, she would see him and not talk to him, like he couldn't get two words, you know, to her. So why would she on her turf act out of character?
Act out of character.
So, you know, they have business people that are there at this party,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she's the caterer. You know,
Yes.
if nothing else, she is a professional.
Yeah, she remained
Indeed.
professional throughout, even in all the incidents that they had with each other. When he told her cook what to do and what not to do, she remained professional. Okay, there was several incidents when she had a time where she could have just gone to left field with him, but she
Yeah.
remained professional. You know, she pulled him to the side. She checked her tone before she said the thing so that you need to get my point, but I'm not going to do it and nobody else is going to hear me telling you, hell no, because we're going to do this behind
Look,
closed
Mama Tony,
doors.
like at the gala, I was like, I said, Lord, if a fly was on the wall, I was like, she read that brother for filth. She sliced him, diced him, cut him up, and the only people that heard it was him and her. And you can best believe that he felt every bit of it.
He still
Well,
got stars on his back.
he had to go outside. He had to go outside and get himself together. But you know, again, they were around, and she was not going to make her parents look bad. You know, she was not
Yes.
going to claim her
Yes.
family, but she had it. By the time they were at the gala, and then when she found out why he was really there,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, on the island,
She was
she had it. And that's why basically I think she did kind of get a little, you know, she drew some blood because she basically told him, you need to go home. This is my island and I can block anything you want. I mean, you
Jackie,
know,
she said, any restaurant you try to open, I will block. I said, ooh,
Now she said, I got the money to
I
outbid
got the
you.
money.
yes.
Okay.
I said,
If,
oh,
if, if you got $20, I got $100 because I'm gonna get this. I want this. You will not get this.
And I mean,
and
and
Mama
think about
Tony,
it,
it was
she
like, and
already
I
had
dare
two
you to mess with
restaurants.
me.
She already had two restaurants
Right.
to his none. So she pulled rank at that point. And I just felt like she had had enough. And
Yeah.
so she was gonna kind of go a little bit further, and she pulled rank. I'm
Jackie, and it
already
was
where you
almost
came
like a
first.
little, like a little puppy that you don't step, he was like, ouch, and let me just back up, let me just ease on out of this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
But by
Let
the
me just
same
say,
time,
Jackie, you wrote that, okay? I felt every one of her words. I was like, ooh,
But I feel like sometimes we have to do that. And the thing about it is you shouldn't hold stuff in because it only affects you and it affects your health, you know, mental, physically. This hair is
yeah,
bothering me.
mm,
They, you know, it affects so much of you. And so I believe you have to get things off your chest, but it's
yeah,
the way that we choose to do so
yeah,
is often the problem, you
mhm,
know. But what I love too, she didn't really trash him like her friend Michelle. And her friend Michelle is actually loosely based on a friend of mine.
look, Jackie, I'm a firm believer that if Michelle would have done it, it would have been a little more brutal. I
Oh
think he
yeah,
would have been bleeding like.
yeah.
But
But
Jackie,
I
I
love,
also think that. Go ahead. Mhm.
oh, I was gonna say I love Michelle in that she was riding for her friend, but
Yeah.
she was also objective.
Yes.
You
yeah.
know,
Yes.
she
Yeah.
was able
Yeah. Yeah.
to kind of stand back and say, well, hey, this, you know, well, you know, she would kind of, because for her, she knew her friend, and I think that was, she's a good friend, an example of a good
Yeah.
friend who is
Mhm.
not going to always just agree with you. Just, I mean, my friends shouldn't have to prove that they ride for me by agreeing with everything, even if
Thank
I'm
you.
wrong.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
Michelle was that friend who said, I understand, but you need to look at it from this point of view.
Yeah.
I understand he hurt you. I would have been hurt too. But have you given him a chance to say,
Yes,
remember,
right, right.
she refused
Yeah.
all of his phone calls. She refused his emails. She wouldn't. So she didn't really know until after they got together. The partnership, why he actually, when she knew his father was mean because they had the conversation when they were in school in Paris, but she didn't know the bottom line as to why. She just thought he just up and walked out on her, and she never gave him. And
Right.
Michelle's point of view was, I understand you hurt, but you need to find out why you were hurt. I
Yes.
understand you
Right.
mad,
Right.
but you need to find out why
Yeah.
you mad. I understand you
Yeah.
don't want him
Yeah.
in this town, but you need to find out why you don't. And
Why you don't want him in this town?
why you don't want him in this town? I understand he
Yeah.
already got a restaurant and you don't want him to have one on the island, but you need to know the reason why. You just can't up and say you can't do it. It doesn't work
Yes.
that way. And
But
that's
let you know she wasn't healed for number one from that heartbreak, because
yes.
when you're healed,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And you know, her and Michelle, and I think maybe somebody else, but they talked about, well, you went to New Orleans and opened your first restaurant. Why, when you live in Charleston, did you decide to
Michelle
open
called her
your
out on
first
it. Yeah. She
restaurant
was like,
in New Orleans? And you have to think, even though she never really, I think, fully admitted it, but a little bit of that was
To slap him in the face.
yes, and then open it 2 blocks from his family restaurant. So even though he has, and she does, their family, as you know, their family, the Du Grand Prix, come from New Orleans, and
right.
so
Right.
it makes sense that she would have opened one there, but it doesn't. Not her first one, maybe her second one.
It makes sense that she would have opened one there, but not in that particular spot, because she had to know where
2 blocks
his
away from his
his
father's
where
restaurant.
his family's restaurant was. So it was big. New Orleans was big enough for her to go on. If they on the west side of town, for her to
On
go
the
on the
other
east
side
side
of
of
town.
town.
Yes.
Right. If they on the north, for her to go on the south. But instead, she opened it where, if I'm coming down the street, I'm like, which one of these I want to go to? Because I got to pass them both, to get to where I'm going.
So
So
I think it was a little, she had a little thing going on, and that's just who we are, and like Corey just said, hurting people want to hurt people. She wanted to hurt him too. She wanted him to feel something. And I think she
Yeah.
secretly delighted in the fact that he kept trying to basically reach out to her to apologize. I think she
Right.
delighted secretly in that. She may not ever admit that, but I think
Admit
she
it, but
I think,
and
and so, yeah, go ahead, Angela.
Jackie Sheehan, after he had um apologized, well, finally apologized to her, or even when he was trying to, and when Molly had shared with them about, this is how she wanted them to purchase the restaurant or what have you. I think when she went back to her house that night, even though she was pissed off, she realized it was like a light bulb to say, you know what? I'm still hurt by this, because she was like, this shouldn't be bothering me like this, but just his, and because remember, she thought she was over it, but the very presence of him was like, oh shoot, like this really, really, dude, you gonna come to my turf now?
and then you got to think
But
about.
it kind of speaks to their college experience. When they were in school, he's competitive. He's competitive.
Yes.
And again, even though she knew his father was kind of the way he was, um,
Yeah.
I think that we sometimes make the mistakes that we, because the way her situation was with her family, when everybody that's read the Du Grand Prix of Charleston are familiar that they're all pretty much attorneys. She
Yep.
bucked the system.
She bucked the system.
She bucked the system. And so there was some
Yeah.
anger with her mom. And anybody that's read the Du Grand Prix of Charleston know that her mom Rochelle can be a piece of work.
Yeah, a bee with a
Okay.
capital F. I mean, yeah, well, yeah.
She kind of has
Look,
learned
Jack,
her
we
lesson.
ain't even gonna go back to when she was interfering with Riker and Garland. Okay,
Right.
Girl.
guys.
So Rochelle
Okay, but yeah,
did
Rochelle
not
is
take it well. Her parents did not take it well, but
right.
she did not allow that to stop her. Tyrion, on the other hand, has a very different relationship with his father, where he worshiped his father, and he wanted to be like his father.
But I also think his father was. My notes say his father was overbearing, and jealous. He knew that Tyrion was a better chef than he was. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So what? He was in second place in the school instead of first place. Somebody got to be in second and third. But because he never got to the first place, even in high school football, he didn't make quarterback. So what do you take? You make the child from playing football. So
He didn't like to fail.
Yeah.
The father, what was Terrence? I think
Terrence, that's the father's name.
Terrence didn't like to fail, and he perceived when his son did not make quarterback, okay, he's failed us. Let's take him off the team. You know, when he was not number one in the culinary school, that Terrence went to that particular school, and Terrence was the number one chef. And of course, this is his son.
Right.
So he wanted his son to be number one. If you're not number one, I'm going to take you out and I'm going to train you myself, because I think there was a little narcissism in there with him, in that he thought, you know, he knew he was a great chef. And so I can teach him better than this culinary school. But now with Tori is also a chef, went to a different culinary school across the country. You know, she was in Italy, and there was no problem. But I think he saw himself in Tyrion, and I think he wanted to live through Tyrion. Now, I think that sometimes you achieve a certain amount of success, you don't know where to go with it. And so with his son, I guess he kind of thought, okay, he could, you know, live through Tyrion. Tyrion didn't want he loved the family restaurant, but he had, you know, he wanted a fine dining establishment. He wanted to go up a level, and he would have been fine if his father allowed him to do that with LaCroix, but he didn't. He did, like, you know, the renovations they needed. He didn't want that. He wanted it just to stay the same. So he was a kind of a contradiction. On one end, he's settling, but he was also dealing with some health issues, and I think that affected his decision making. And on the other hand, though, he was, you know. Yeah, great. Corey just put it in great
But Jackie,
words.
even with that, can we talk about of how that affected him too over time? Because one, it affected how he maneuvered and how he did that. I mean, even when he was in, I think, and he was doing well, and I thought it was kind of neat that that, you know, she was following him, because she knew, because Aubrey knew about the restaurant that he worked in California. Because remember, she was like, well, why did you, you know, she was like, you was doing in California and then you went back home, you know, what have you. But so it affected how he maneuvered. Even his sister Tori, she was like, you know, you have a choice. Don't let dad keep control. You know, she was like, even when you was in California, I told you should have stayed, but you know, you came back because dad made these promises, or what have you. So it was almost like, at one point, okay, he gets past it, but at one point he's in that mode where he wants to please his dad so much, and he becomes competitive to a default. You know, even sometimes where he was coming back and forth with Aubrey, and she had to say, you know, we're not competing. You know, like we, you know, we're not competing. Like I'm not, like he was making everything a competent. But I like how she would remind him of how good he was, or how good he is, if that makes sense. Mama
and that
Jackie,
was his problem. His father never acknowledged how good of a chef he was, how he never acknowledged some of the things that he never, the praise that he was looking for from his father, he never got. All he got from his father was, because you are not number one, then you're no good. That was all he got from him. But Aubrey kept reinforcing from even when she was angry with him and wanted to have nothing to do with him, she reminded him that he was a good chef, and how he had done, even though she was hurt because he left in the middle of their senior project. But she never let him know that he was always a good chef, that he was good. When he fixed the dish that they were going to serve to the trainees, and you know, he was on pins and needles, like, and when she tasted and told you, and they talked about, you know, she always kept him up, not on a pedestal, but say, you can compete. I'm a good chef. I know I'm a good chef. You can compete with me or anybody else. She always let him know that. That's what he wanted from his father, but that was not what he was getting from his father.
Yeah, it was like he was this little boy still. And the thing about it, there's hero worship sometimes with fathers and sons, even with mothers and sons and mothers and daughters with children, parents and children. There's a little bit of hero worship in that. And that's why I think sometimes, Myra, this is really, when you don't get the praise from a parent, right, it does really, really hurt. I mean, I spent my life trying to please my parents. I did. Let me say the first 30 years of my life was about pleasing my parents. And I wasn't raised with my parents. I was raised with my grandmother. So for me, being raised by my grandmother and having two parents who were, had started other families and raising their children, I struggled with why didn't they want me? And so for me, it meant somewhere in my mind, I wasn't good enough. So for me, I excelled in school, and I excelled in college, and I went to college and got 5 degrees because I wanted them to see I'm worth it. I was worth it, And so that was my motivation is trying to be this daughter that they wish they had had. And I wanted, I'm gonna be really transparent. I really want to show them what they missed in having me as a daughter, And when I look at my siblings, a lot of my siblings, my brothers never left home. When my mom died, they're still trying to find themselves, even now, since she's been gone. And it's almost 3 years that she's been gone. And they're kind of, floundering out there, So for me, I wasn't competitive, I would say, but I just really wanted to excel, and I wanted to prove that I was worth loving. And I think that was a lot that I put into Tyrion, that feeling of, I just want them to be proud of me and want him to love me and say basically the same thing we want from God, for God to say, well done. Well, that's what he wanted from his father.
Yeah.
And the difference between Terrence and God knows we're going to fall, but he still encourages us to get back up. And he tells us no matter how many times we fall, he's got our backs. Tyrion's father was not like that. He wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And there are parents out there, unfortunately, and they're flawed.
Yes.
Parents do the best that they can. My parents, I love my parents, and they did the best that they could with what they had to work with. My parents were very young when they had me and my sister. You know what I mean? So they did the best they could with what they had to work with. And I don't hold that against them. But did it leave me with some issues? Yes. It left me with some issues.
And that goes back to that statement we've all heard as parents from our parents. Being a parent does not come with a guide. It's a learn as you go process. And we make mistakes. Our parents make mistakes. And that's what Terrence was. He was learning how to maneuver. Even Rochelle and Margot. Remember, Rochelle said she made the biggest mistake in the world in the Du Grand People when she tried to come between Riker and Garland, and she almost lost not only the daughter-in-law but the son. So she said she had learned her lesson. Now that the child's 30 years old, to stay in her lane. She don't get a fit. If they ask for help, she's there, but she's not sticking her nose nowhere else no more. Because
I wanted people to see that. I wanted people to see where she started, and now at this point in her life, she has learned.
And she owned up to the fact. She told Margot, she said, I learned my lesson the hard way.
Yeah, because he was like, how did you handle it? And she was like, I've learned to stay out of it. And remember, Margot,
she said, I learned my lesson the hard way. She said, I almost lost my son completely. And because of the girl, I didn't want him to have the
Yeah.
girl he was with. If they come to me for help, I'm gonna give it to him, but I'm not offering nothing. And of course, I think Martha is
Yeah.
the same way, because even when she's talked about Terrence, she says, "I'm just waiting till I hit him in the head with it, because I have to give him some space. He ain't figured it out yet. And after a while, I'm gonna have to sit him down, and we're gonna have to have this husband and wife talk about our children, and the fact that yes, they are our children, but they are now
Yeah.
adults."
Exactly. And I
Adult.
wrote that because, as the mother of, adult children, they don't always make the choices. They just don't always make the choices we think they should.
No.
And before, I was very opinionated, even a little judgy about certain decisions my kids made. But one of the things I had to learn was stay in your lane, because you have to allow them to make mistakes the same way you were allowed to make mistakes. Because when I look back to, like I said, the first 30 years of my life, my husband and I will be married in June, 32 years. God bless, 32 years. But it was rough in the beginning because I came with baggage. I came with the baggage, the seeds of rejection, the abandonment issues, and when you have those type issues, you don't trust very easy. And so here I am saying I'm married to this wonderful man and not trusting in that relationship. And so it was very hard, but I thank God that he stayed with me, that he still likes me to this day. But I've learned, even with my children, they have to have those same experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I am here if they want to talk, but
Mm-hmm.
I've had to even tell my daughter sometimes with her husband, there are only certain things you can tell me, because if you tell me certain things, I'm gonna be mad. Then y'all gonna be back together and happy, and I'm still gonna have an attitude. So some things I've told her we can't talk
Okay.
about.
And you have to learn these things. I can remember when Gerald and I first got together, and my mama was still here, and I would complain because Gerald had an incident in his life and with his first wife with a church situation, and I wanted him to go to church with me, and I was like, I ain't asking him no more. If he can go, I'm just gonna go into somewhere else. And my mama said to me, "You can't make that man go to church. Give him time. When he's ready,
That's
he
right.
gonna, he gonna go. Quit." I remember emphatically my mama saying, "Quit asking. Just quit asking." I quit asking. Now I don't even have to ask every now and then. But now let me tell you, the first few years, I was like, well, why? But we deal with our past and
Mm-hmm.
we allow it to affect our future. And even though you say that relationship is over, or that whatever it is over, there's always something there when you get to that new spot that reminds you of that, and it keeps you going.
Exactly.
It's like that bait on the hook. It just keeps,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't pull you, but it just keeps dabbing you up and down the water.
But you
And
know what
that,
it is? You know what it is, Mama Tony? Is something you've left unresolved, something you haven't resolved. And the thing about it, for
Mm-hmm.
me, one of the things I do now is when I have those issues, I put it in my little God jar. I have this jar with all my little prayer requests and things like that, and my concerns. And so I will write that thing down, like, okay, God, I've given this to you. I'm not trying to take it back, but it's still stinging a little. So can you remove that sting? And I put it in that jar and I walk
Mm-hmm.
away. And even with my husband, like the church issue, I'm married to a Catholic. I came from Baptist church. Now we attend a non-denominational church that works for us. But before we got to that point, it was frustrating because I'm like, I grew up in church and
Mhm.
that's what we're supposed to be and blah, blah, blah. But like God was like, leave him alone. Let
Mhm.
me deal with that. And so I would get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm just going to tell God on you. And so that's how I would end the discussion. Like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to tell God on you. I'm going to tell God on you. And now, I have a son. My son is here. And, every Sunday I'm kind of like, will you go to church? You want to go to church with us? Sometimes he'll go, sometimes he won't. I had to even, God just told me, let him be.
Mhm.
So guess what? I'm gonna tell God on him too. and that's it. And so sometimes we just have to let go and let God. And I finally understand what that means,
Mhm.
and that was the same thing with
Mhm.
Aubrey and this whole situation. Now that was school. School was how long? What, 7 or 8 years ago?
8 years ago, yeah.
And she's still angry. So there
Yeah,
was a
it was
lot
like
to it.
yeah, 7 years ago.
Yeah,
Because
so
she got
there
no
was a lot there.
closure, and she hadn't gotten closure because
Yeah,
she
she
wouldn't
hadn't
talk to
quite
him.
quite healed yet.
She wouldn't talk to him. You
Right.
can't.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't. If I'm angry
Yeah.
But
with
don't
you,
you think that's pride? Don't you think it was a little bit of pride?
yeah. If I'm angry with you, I
Yeah,
can't get any
and that's
closure
what
with you
that's what
family.
Michelle was kind of telling her too. She was like, she was like, now he done try to talk to you, try to call you, try to email you, done some of everything, but you won't even give him a chance. Because I even think Jackie and Mama Tony, y'all can say what you want to say about this. When she finally did, well, first of all, she didn't throw him out the rest. When he stopped by and showed up, was like we need to talk. But look,
Again,
in
she
my
remained
mind, I
professional.
was look, Mama Tony, I was laughing because he's sitting there talking, and it was like she wanted to be all mad, but then it was something she saw in his eyes, and she was like, you know what? He really do seem sincere. So then she was like, okay, I forgive you, but I ain't reading that proposal. And so he was like, well, I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna leave it here. And in her mind, she's like, and so
I was waiting
finally,
on her
y'all
to
know where
put
I'm
it
going
in,
with
in
this. Remember,
file
like
13.
he was like, I don't think she gonna respond back. So he went back to the restaurant. Did you read that proposal?
Because remember, he knew her as
But
well as she
she
knew
got an
him.
apology.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
other thing was that, to show you how well they knew each other, when they signed the contract and got the keys to the building, he wanted to go and celebrate.
Hmm.
She said, no, I can't. She didn't explain why she couldn't. So he goes home with his bottle of champagne, and he mad, and he's thinking she doesn't care. She doesn't really. But what does she do? She sends him a basket of food. She sends him the champagne with a note. And in the note, this is when she says, "I'm short-handed. I got a cook that didn't show up, so that's why I go." And then she calls
yeah.
him
My priorities
and
right now is I need to be at this restaurant to cover my
But
restaurant.
then she calls him
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
says, "Did you get your package? Did you
Hmm.
enjoy your package? Can I come over
Yes.
now and have a glass of champagne with you?" Okay.
Hmm.
At that point, I was like,
But
okay,
go on, Jackie.
she
You
breaking.
wrote that, girl. You wrote that.
At that point, I was like, okay, she breaking. Because, you know, and she explained to him it meant as much to her as it did to him. But because she owned the business,
Yes.
she had to put the business first.
The business
Then
first
he
at
had
that
to
moment.
then he had to
Yes.
swallow his pride and say, uh I really thought you didn't want to be with me. You didn't like you,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's how well that they learned each other when they were in culinary school in Paris. The
Yes.
relationship that they had was not only as chefs, they were also good friends, they were
Mhm.
lovers, and they knew every nuance.
Yeah.
They knew
And I
every
wanted to
nuance
show
about each
that.
other.
That's why I wanted to like different foods because I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie. And so different foods evoke different
Oh,
memories
oh
in
yeah.
me. And see, when we go out to eat, I don't go out just to eat because I
Mhm.
can eat at home. I
Yeah.
go out for the experience. I'm creating memories with Bernard, and so when we eat certain desserts and things like that, it reminds me of certain things. For example, my favorite restaurant is Cheesecake Factory, and the one in Beverly Hills is where my husband proposed.
Okay.
So, and so when I eat and order my Cajun chicken littles, it's because that was what I was eating when we decided we were going to get married and everything. You know what I'm saying? So different things. And I would share a little secret. A lot of the foods in this book, in this particular book, his partnership proposal, are foods that I have special memories with Bernard.
Oh, look at you. See, I told y'all get a little bit of tea here at Angela's Literary Cafe. And if you are just joining us, guys, we are having an amazing discussion. Talk about Jacquelin Thomas' latest release, his partnership proposal. And you guys know how we do it here. So if you have a question or a comment for Jacquelin or Mama Tony or something that you want us to discuss, be sure to put it in the comment section. We'll be sure to include you as well. And Jacquelin, I want to go back to when you was about the experience, because that's one of the things that Aubrey kept saying to Tyrion is that, you know, I want the customers to have an experience when they come to my restaurant. He was like, yeah, it is about the food and it is about the decor, but I want them to have an entire experience. And I like that, because I know when I go out to eat at a nice restaurant too, I'm all about that experience too, in addition to the food tasting good. But again, what memories did I create from this? What was the experience like when I was at this restaurant? I even like the part, and Mama Tony, you can definitely jump in. Remember when he had to when he was working at her at her place,
when he was the maitre
d', she knew that he was miserable.
Yes.
She knew that he was miserable, but she knew that there was a lesson in that. Like, you got to get to know the individuals who work, not who work here, but you get to know the individuals who are coming into the restaurant, fill them out. Like, for example, the doctor and his wife, you know, they were celebrating their anniversary, and he sent like the wine and the chocolate. But again, as the maitre d', as she said, hey, that experience starts with you. You know, it starts with this person that's right here. So I really like that. And afterwards, he got it, because at first he was just like, I am not feeling it.
Because he's used to being in the kitchen.
He was used to being in the kitchen.
Exactly.
He was the chef. All he
right,
give it to me, let me take it out there. He didn't give a cuss about.
But when you are the owner,
right, yes, Jackie, you need to know everything. Yes,
for a successful restaurant. And I will tell you, Bernard and I, we were I don't know, this hair is, I got strays that's bothering me. Bernard and I were in California, in San Bernardino, and we were there for a wedding weekend. His best friend was getting married, and so this is the night before the wedding, and so we decided to go to this restaurant. And you guys may not know, but I love anything New Orleans. I love the food, and this was a restaurant. The owner actually was from New Orleans, and so we got there. They didn't do reservations. It was crowded. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And we got to stand in this line and outside. And so I put a little bit of that into the story. But what I love, and this is one of my favorite places, and this is what I call +1 service. We stood in line outside. The owner and another server came out with trays of mini crab cakes and gave each one of us. Now we're waiting.
An experience.
Yes. And they had a sax player and another guy out there playing music, because the couple in front of us, an older couple, they just started dancing, and the ambiance, but the wait was long, but we weren't even aware of it, because every 15 minutes he came out and rotated little bite-sized little things to eat. And so when we were able to finally be seated, it didn't stop. When we were able to be seated, they gave each of us, they put the menu down, then they put a paper and they turn it face down. They tell you, don't look at it till they tell you. So we didn't bother it. They took our orders, food came out. All of a sudden, the owner, I forgot, it was like a bell. Next thing I know, the cooks, everybody came out of the kitchen. They started this music. They told us to flip over the paper. It was the lyrics to the song, and we all sang, and they walked around and they toasted every single person in there. And I found they do that every 45 minutes. And I was like, you know what? I know why they all happy. I said, because they drink all night, but that was their thing, this restaurant. But you see what I mean? That was
that was customer service. That
was +1 service.
That was good customer service. I know these people have got to wait. Then after they get in here, they got to place the order, and they still got to wait to get the order. I need to keep my customers happy, and that's what he did.
Right. Now,
That's
and
amazing.
didn't charge us for the
For the
appetizers, basically.
advertising. Hmm.
He didn't but well, it was factored in, I'm sure, in the pricing of the food because it wasn't a cheap place, but it was wonderful. And I can even tell you, I won't, but I can tell you the conversation I was having with Bernard. That is so imprinted on me. That is such a memory. And that's what I think anybody in business is what they should strive for, especially in the restaurant
Mhm.
business when you are creating an experience for your people. I tried to show that in the book with the 16, 17 course meal. And yes, they don't stop at 7 or 8 courses. I mean, there are 16, 17, and 18 course
Yeah.
menus. And what it is smaller servings.
Mhm.
So that's how you're able to eat all of that. You know, it's almost like, just sample sizes. But and this is predominantly overseas. You'll see this a lot.
Mhm.
Especially I think in Italy is where you see a lot of the 17, 18 course meals.
Yeah,
And
they
remember,
have a
he
lot
made
of
reference
in
to
Germany
their
too.
grand opening. I want to say he said something like it'd be a French 16 course meal or something like that. He said it was towards the
Mhm.
beginning of the book when they
Mhm.
were talking about the grand. But Jacqueline and Mama Tony, I do want to talk a little bit about his twin sister Tori, because we talked a little bit about Michelle and her friendship with
Mhm.
Aubrey, and how she was there for her, but then in love, she would call her out, if she needed to call her out or what have you. But
Mhm.
I also think that Tori was that for Tyrion as well.
Mhm.
Like she needed to, it was like, okay, bro. And she would also call him out, but she was there for him. She supported him, or what have you. Let's talk a little bit about their relationship.
I
Okay, first
love
of
their
all, they were
relationship.
twins. You got to
Yes.
remember they were twins. So they
Yes.
had this sync thing going on anyway, even though she did one thing in food and he did the other, that twin thing was always there. So she used that, whatever this psychic is, that I don't have twins, don't, I know a lot of them, but whatever this connection is that twins have
Yeah.
together,
Mhm.
that's what I think she used on him. She would
Yeah,
tell him,
because we have twins. We have several sets of twins in our family, which is probably why you see I write a lot about twins. But it's because they have such a
Yes.
special bond.
mm-hmm,
Some twins even have their own language, and hopefully they grow out of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll grow out of it because I have a set of relatives, twin relatives, and they have their own little language, and we don't know. They're in a world of their own, which sometimes bothers me because they need to be, they need to actually get out more and engage with other people, but they only want to be together. And so it can actually kind of go to the extreme, I think, sometimes. But I wanted them to really, because again, I have siblings and I'm really not close to them, and that's the one thing. And the one sister I was very close to, she was my older sister. We were 11 months apart, so a lot of people thought we were twins. But I lost her when we were 18, so I don't have that with any of my other siblings. And that, so when I write about, I guess, some of the things I wish that I had. And so I mean, I'm grateful for my siblings. We talk, but we just aren't close like I would like us to be. And I've learned not to try to enforce what I want into the relationship, just accept what is given, kind of, sort of.
Mhm.
And so I really wanted them to have this special relationship, to be best friends. And they were best friends. And,
Mhm.
she did not exactly like the way her father treated him, but he was her father. But I I think she was the stronger of the two, though.
yeah,
I would say she was probably the stronger of the two.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
wasn't a weak man. I
Yeah.
don't consider, some people may consider him
No.
weak, but he was not a weak man. He was
No.
a man who the
Yeah. I
love of
didn't.
his father. He
yeah,
wanted his father's approval and he
Yeah.
wanted the love of his father. And to
Yeah.
me, that does not make you weak.
Yeah.
It makes you yearning.
No.
And
yeah,
and see,
No.
I think we get caught up in
Yeah.
labels, and I think that's one of the things I love about writing. I'm never going to write about this perfect character. I may write about an alpha male, but not everybody is an alpha male. You know, some people just want love, and I think that's a valid request. And so
Mhm.
some people don't realize that they're loved, and
Mhm.
he was loved, but to me it comes down to love language. He and his father did not know his love language, and that's really from a psychological perspective.
Yeah.
The father did not know his son's love language.
Wherein the mother and the
Mm-hmm.
sister did.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the sister could always talk to him and bring him down. Even Aubrey knew his love language. That's why she could look at him and see a certain thing in him, and she could see a certain thing in his face. She knew when he was angry. She knew when he was upset.
Mm-hmm.
She knew what the
Yeah.
smirk went on his face. She understood him the same way his mother and his sister did. But the father was that male that didn't see that macho man that you know that's what he was.
Alpha male. He was an alpha male.
Yeah.
And so and
Yeah.
Taryn,
Yeah.
all he wanted to do was, as the little boy, please daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
he didn't fight when daddy said quit playing football. He didn't fight when daddy said
Mm-hmm.
come home. The only time he really, I think, kind of even attempted to say anything to his father was when the father accused Aubrey of destroying their restaurant.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
you know, the father was saying the reason that their restaurant wasn't doing good was because she had opened the restaurant 2 blocks from them. But that wasn't it.
Yeah.
The father
Right.
had the
It's like, Dad,
restaurant
you didn't
still,
want to change. You didn't want to.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The father still
Mhm.
had the restaurant
Yeah.
in the 18th century, and he wouldn't move it up to the 21st, 22nd century, and that's why they were
Right.
failing. Think
Right.
about all the things he said was wrong, and then he goes through the trouble. He gets an architect. He gets to come there, and the father says, "Okay." And then when the man comes there, he demand, "This is my place." He had no right, and the man, so nothing is done.
Jackie,
And
I was like, oh, he wrong for that. I was like, Daddy's so wrong for that. I was
But
like,
it
that was so wrong.
happens.
yeah,
It
but
happens.
again, what was Terry trying to do? Trying to please his dad, improve that restaurant so that they could make more money, and the dad had to turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it had to be
And I think
daddy's
at that
way.
point, Mama Tony, for him, it was like, you know what? Enough is enough. Like, you know, when they got there and he finally told her, like, you know, he was like, I'm actually staying here in South Carolina. She was like, what? But Dad, you know, and I felt like at that time he said, you know what? I can't keep living under my daddy's thumb because I have dreams and aspirations and I really want this restaurant. Even though a part of it is he wanted to show his dad that, Dad, I can do this. I have what it takes. I can run my own restaurant. In addition to that, you know, that was a part of it, but it was a part of him to say, you know what? I have to do this. I have to stand up for myself to say, you know, even when, you know, what happened to their restaurant, or what have you. I'm trying not to give too much away because for those who not have read the book, I want you guys to go get it. Even when that happened, and remember the dad was like, well, no, why won't you, you know, let her buy you out? So, and he was like, no, Dad, you know, no, our restaurant is going to be fine. We're going to still run this restaurant, even though we may not be in a relationship, whatever, we going to run this restaurant. I can do this. And for me, I was like clapping for him, like, yes, like he's standing up for himself too. But Jacquelin or Mama Tony, I know we're running out of time. Do you guys want to read a little snippet or you want to continue to talk? However you guys want to do our discussion, I'm open for either way.
Well, if any of the viewers have questions, we can take those questions, or I can do a quick reading. It's whatever they, you know, if they have any questions.
Okay.
I mean,
and guys, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section. I will definitely read them out so
I know
Jacquelin
someone had a
can open
question
them.
earlier. I think someone
Okay.
had a question earlier. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay. And Mama Tony, while Jacquelin is looking for that question, did you have another comment?
The one of my favorite scenes was when they were trying to decide what to name the restaurant. I love that scene right there where they were trying.
Yes.
You know, but it also at that point, I think they both realized we still got something special. We just got to figure out how to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yes.
Getting to chapter 12, and they were going back and forth. He teased her about wanting to name everything a color, red, blue, and all this time, and black, and wanted to know what was her affinity to colors. And then the light bulb came on in both of their brains at the same time when we were in culinary school and talked about opening a restaurant together. We were going to
Yes.
name it this. And it was like,
Yes.
it's done. It you know what they
Yes.
said? It is written. God said it, and that settles it. When they went back to that point and said, this is what we were going to do, it was written in stone. There was no more discussion. And they were both pleased and happy. And for me, that was the turning point in their entire relationship.
I think so. Yeah.
The restaurant, the
Yes. Yes.
the family, that was a turning point for me in their entire
Yeah.
relationship.
Okay, I know.
Yes. Yes.
Rhonda's asking, is this book part of a series? Yes, Rhonda, it's
Yes.
part of my Poke Island series. It's actually book number 4. It's book number 4. The books are standalone, but so you could read them out of order, but something went on before. So it's really it's part of the Poke Island series. It's number 4.
I love that. I love that. And Jacquelin, we'll allow you to read a short snippet, guys, while Jacquelin is reading. If you have a quick question, put it in the comment section, as well. If you are just joining us, as Jacquelin stated, this is book 4 in the Poke Island series, his partnership proposal. It is an amazing read. And again, I'm so grateful to be able to talk a little bit about it and spill a little bit of tea with Jacquelin Thomas and Mama Tony. And I'm going to turn it over to Jacquelin Thomas to give us a little snippet.
Okay, I'm actually gonna, I think, read the part where they meet at the real estate office, and because I think
Ooh.
that's not giving away too much.
Okay.
Yes.
So Tuesday afternoon, Aubrey walked into the Poke Island real estate office with purpose. She felt good about this meeting. She was about to acquire her 3rd restaurant. She was already playing around with what she would call it. At the moment, she was thinking of Maynard Rose, again with the colors. She was directed to the conference room. Her first 2 restaurants, and if you haven't read my books, one is Maynard Rouge, which is actually Red Manor, but the French Maynard Rouge. Then in New Orleans is Maynard Bleu, which is, of course, Blue Manor. And then here is Maynard Rose. So here we go with the colors, like a pink color. Anyway, she was directed to a conference room. Elaine was already seated at the table when she entered. Aubrey glanced around. Is somebody else joining us? Because there were 4 bottles of water and notepads on the table. Yes, Molly should be arriving shortly. And before Elaine could finish, Tyrion walked in. He seemed as stunned to see her as Aubrey was to see him. What's going on? They asked in unison. Molly will explain everything once she gets here. Aubrey didn't have a clue what was happening, but she had a feeling she wasn't going to like it. So she took a seat near the door while Tyrion sat across from her. She couldn't believe Elaine would do something like this to catch her off guard. She could feel the warmth of Tyrion's eyes on her, but refused to look at him for any length of time. When she did spare him a glance, she made sure her expression was blank, lacking any emotion. I'm sorry I'm late, Molly Lawson said when she walked briskly into the conference room. There was an accident on the bridge which slowed traffic down a bit. Elaine appeared to practically sag with relief. She was mostly glad to have the heat taken off of her. It was great seeing you, Aubrey. It's great seeing you, Aubrey, Molly said, and it's wonderful to meet you, Tyrion. I am familiar with your father. He's a fabulous chef. Please give him my regards. My late husband and I would always visit LaCroix whenever we were in New Orleans. I will, he responded, then said, but I must admit, I'm confused about what's going on right now. I'm sure you are. But this concerns my building on Hibiscus. You both submitted offers to buy it. As I considered the offers, I got an idea I'd like to propose. And what is that? Aubrey asked. What do you think about the 2 of you working together? Aubrey shifted in her chair. Excuse me? She couldn't have heard Molly correctly. It would be fabulous. 2 renowned award-winning chefs working together. Aubrey caught herself before she uttered the words, you have got to be kidding me. And then Tyrion, are you serious? I actually think it's a great idea, the realtor interjected. And Molly goes, at least give it some thought. I've lived on the island long enough to know that the residents and tourists alike don't just want another steakhouse, seafood, or specialty restaurant. She paused a moment before saying, Aubrey, I've heard you say this often, People want an experience when they dine out. They can eat food at home. That's a true statement. Aubrey cleared her throat. I'm sure Tyrion and I have very different ideas. Smiling, she interjected, I have faith that the two of you can find a way to marry those ideas to make this new venture one of a kind. Do you know why Larry and I were so successful? It's because we were a team. We started off as business partners and it turned into something so much more. Tyrion looked shell shocked as Aubrey felt.
Like,
It's like they're like in disbelief. As far as she was concerned, Molly was still grief stricken over the loss of her husband, so that she wasn't thinking straight. Because surely she didn't believe they could work together. And there was no way she would ever work with Tyrion.
I love it, guys. Jacquelin just shared a little snippet of his partnership proposal. Oh my goodness, Jacquelin. And I know Rhonda said she had the audio book. I'm sure this in audio is amazing. Guys,
Oh
if you
yeah,
have
I've
not read it
listened
yet,
to it. They have done a great job with
available.
the audio. Yes, on
Yes.
all the books.
And
The
so
audio on
Jacquelin,
all the books. Let's see. Somebody I think let's see. She don't
I
have a
wanted to
question.
put this up for Jennifer. Jennifer, that is so sweet. Jennifer says she don't have a question, but she wanted to tell you, Jacquelin. Hold on, let me put it back up. Let's see. Here we go. That this series means so much to her because each book she has taken a message from it and has helped her heal. Thank you so much for
Great
sharing that,
job.
Jennifer. We
Yes.
definitely appreciate that
Yes,
as
I am
well.
humbled by
Yes.
that. I appreciate that because, I can't even take credit, Jennifer. I go to the Lord with each book. I honestly do. And I go to the Lord with each book. And so I pray that each book there's a message that reaches somebody. It's not just about just writing these books. It is also what I consider part of my ministry. And even though Poke Islands is what people would consider, because they like labels, a secular series, as you all know, it's a clean series, and I'm not going to compromise on that. It is what I believe. I believe you can write good stories without it being, hypersexual and all of that. And don't get me wrong, every book has its place. Every book has its place, but this is just not what I write. And so I am glad that it's being received and people are enjoying the series. I just appreciate it. So I am thankful to all of you. It would not even be a success without you all, the readers. So I do appreciate everything that you say and everything that you do.
Okay, let me just
I
say, yes,
love that. I love that.
there are no overt sex scenes in any of these books. But
Right.
when you read about these folks right here, okay, and I know that's
they page turners.
Okay, you feel the sexuality without the sex, if that makes sense. You feel it.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, like I said, this is book number 4. The first one, her hometown hero. The second one, her Marine hero. The third one, a family for a firefighter. And then this last one, his partnership proposal. You can feel it with each couple, with each protagonist, with each hero. You can feel it. It doesn't have to be said. You don't have to know that that's what's going on, but you can feel it. For instance, in the family for a firefighter, come on, you got this precious little girl, and you got a butthole, and then you got somebody who's trying to save their life. You can feel it, and you also got all in each of these books. You got that antagonistic person, the parents, the dad in this one, but with the heroine and the hero, you feel the range of sexuality without it being said, without having to read today, which makes for, I think, a very good read because you can wrap yourself in it without being in it.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it's what I write.
Yeah.
I know that
And
everybody
guys, this
doesn't
series.
want to read. What'd you say?
No, I was just telling them, guys, this series is an amazing series. Again, like we said, it's the Poke Island series. Jacquelin has this fictional island that you gonna fall in love with. Let me just tell you, okay, you gonna love
Oh,
yourself
and
some Poke
I actually
Island
have
and the
a map
people that
of
are
the
there.
island. I actually have a map of the island.
Yes,
So I have a map. I know every street. I know North Beach. I know South Beach. I know North Beach is where, the wealth is. And then, I know the Victorian district. I mean, like I say, when we drive through Charleston, I am looking for that bridge that takes us to Poke Island. And I'm like, girl, you made that up,
yes.
But I
And
will
Jacquelin
share.
and Mama Tony, go ahead.
Oh, I
Go
was going
ahead,
to say I will share.
Jacquelin.
I will share. You know how they have those little farms and things on like Heyday and all those on the games. There's one that I play and it's Poke Island, and actually one of the because it's linked to my Facebook. So one of the people that I play on we do team stuff, and she was like, "Poke Island, you're that writer. You're that writer." And so, but my island on my game is Poke Island. My video game is Poke Island. And so, like I said, one of the women I play with was like, "Oh my gosh, you're that author, Poke Island. I read your book. You're that out. This is this." So I actually have a Poke Island, on my video game.
I love that. I love that. And as Jacquelin said, yeah, Jacquelin books have always been excellent. Guys, Jacquelin has super fans that have been following her forever. Jacquelin, she has over 80 something books, guys. She's almost at 100.
94.
She gonna keep on
94.
writing, okay? She gonna have a whole bunch of.
This one is my 94th.
Go ahead, Jacquelin.
His partnership
Guys,
proposal is
did y'all just hear that? Jacquelin Thomas, this is her 94th book.
It's 94.
I love it. I love it.
And ladies and gentlemen,
yes.
if you
and
haven't
guys,
read,
of course,
when you get to chapter 27, when you get to chapter 27, get your Kleenex.
Really?
Yes, that's the scene between Tyrion and his father when the father. Okay, I'm not gonna say it more because I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, you're gonna need you're gonna need
when you get to chapter 27. Get your wine and your Kleenex because you're gonna need it. You're gonna need the Kleenex because it's touching. Because you got this conversation between these two men, and we all know that men don't admit, or don't say their feelings too well. Well, here in chapter 27, they both do, and for me, it was. Yeah, yes, she will, Rhonda. She'll make you cry. it was in chapter 27 from tearing regretfulness to the very last sentence in chapter 27. It's a tearjerker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, Jacquelin and Mama Tony, thank both of you so much for hanging out with me at the cafe and being the first literary tea book discussion of 2023. That was his partnership proposal. And guys, Jacquelin has a treat for you. She's actually given a copy away of her book, his Cold Case Deceit, going to be available. Jacquelin, I'm going to go up and down the comment section. I'm going to allow you to tell me when to stop, and that person will be the winner of Cold Case Deceit. And I am ready when you
come
are,
out
my
to
friend.
March. It does not come out to March, so you will be getting this early copy of Cold Case Deceit. And for those of you that don't know, I also write romantic suspense, but Harlequin Love Inspired. So, okay.
Yes. And Jacquelin is when I'm ready when you are, and just tell me when to stop.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Stop.
Let's see. Who did I click on? Corey Ann, you are the winner, my friend. If you will inbox me your information, I will get that. Congratulations. And thank you for joining us on today. Guys, We have had an amazing time hanging out with Jacquelin Thomas and Mama Tony. Let me just tell you, I'm going to allow Jackie to, of course, tell you how you can get your hands on a copy of his partnership proposal, as well as any of the books in the series and her amazing backlist. Okay, I can tell you about that backlist. Mama Tony can too. Any of her books as well. We're going to allow her to do that. But first, Jacquelin, I'm going to start with Mama Tony so she can tell them how they can stay connected with her. Mama Tony, also, I'll allow you to give your final words on the book and then tell us how we can stay connected with you.
The book is a very good read. As I stated earlier, chapter 27 will bring tears to your eyes. There'll be some laughter and some understanding. The family dynamics is amazing. So if you want a good family read, or you want to turn the page and say, "My sister act like that," my brother act like, then this not only this book, but this series is the entire series is a book for you. As for me, you can find me on Facebook at Mama Tony's Book Nook, doing book of the day Monday through Friday, and that's it. I've enjoyed the conversation. It was very good.
I love it. I love it. And the legendary Jacquelin Thomas, please tell us, how can we stay connected with you? Before you do that, if you want to give your last words of what you want the people to know about the book, and then let us know how they can stay connected with you and get their hands on a copy of the Poke Island series.
Okay. Well, first of all, just thank you guys for the support, for the love. Next month will be 26 years I've been published, and it's all because of all of you. So I wanted to say thank you. I don't take it lightly. His partnership proposal, this whole series, the Poke Island series, what I love about it and what I love writing about is family, is faith, is relationship. They're flawed people, but they are people that love each other genuinely, unconditionally, no judgment. And I love that. I love people like that. So I write about people, and I write about the kind of people I aspire to be. There are life lessons in each book for me. And so sometimes I tell people God helps me write these books. So those are sometimes God's like, okay, we're going to do this because, I tell you, this is aggravating me. God sends me messages through my writing. And so I just very much enjoy it. And I hope that you guys will enjoy it as well. It's been an honor writing for each of you because that's what I do. So thank you. And you can find me on
I love
Facebook.
that.
You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. You can even find me on TikTok. But please forgive, I don't know what to do with TikTok. So I'm trying to learn, y'all. So help me out. Just help me you know. Thank you guys.
I love it. And Jacqueline, for your website, is there a newsletter that they can sign up for? And can you also tell them about your reader group on Facebook, the Champagne Lounge?
Okay. Yeah, there is a newsletter, but again, Angela's going to shame me because I haven't put out a newsletter in a while. I've been under deadline after deadline after deadline. But 2023, I am going to start putting my newsletter back out. So yes, you can sign up for it to stay in touch. Also will do giveaways and some snippets, and we probably sometimes will include some chapters that have been taken out of the actual books, things like that. Also, same thing with the Champagne Lounge. I think we're actually going to be setting up like a spoiler room for you to come to the Champagne Lounge and talk about the books. We do have coming up in February in the Champagne Lounge, which is my private Facebook group. You guys are welcome to join. Just please answer the questions so that you can be approved. But the Champagne Lounge we are having in February our berry flowers. So please come. We do have special guests, and so our special guest and for February is going to be our berry flowers. So stay tuned. Sign up for the Champagne Lounge so you'll be notified. We also do game nights. We have a lot of fun at the Champagne Lounge. So please join us when you can.
I love it. I love it. And guys, That is our show on today. Again, thank all of you for joining us for Angela's Literary Tea, hanging out with author Jacquelin Thomas and Mama Tony on today. If you are watching us on Facebook and you sent stars on today, thank you so much. I'm always appreciative of the stars that you guys send. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for watching us over there too. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, it is Angela Anderson YouTube. Feel free to just subscribe and watch the Literary Cafe as well as Literary Tea and all other bookish stuff and some other stuff too that I share on that as well. Guys, again, if you have not read it, his partnership proposal, it is available now where books are sold. Also, definitely you can get it exclusively at Riches in Reading, indie bookstore, www.richesinreading.com. You can order from that indie bookstore as well as Amazon. You can go to Barnes & Nobles, Walmart, get you a copy of his partnership proposal. As Mama Tony has said, it is an amazing read. You would definitely enjoy. It is one of those books with all the feels as well. And I know that Jacquelin Thomas will be so appreciative after you read it. Leave a review as well and let us know how you feel about this amazing, amazing read. Well, that's it, guys. And as I always say, have an amazing day because we're having an amazing day. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.